And welcome back. Well, today, Senate Republicans blocked a short-term government funding bill that would have raised the federal debt ceiling past next year's midterms and would have kept the government operating. Now, Dems are left scrambling on how to avert a government shutdown before federal agencies shut down on Friday. This comes as our Treasury Department warned the U.S. could default on its debt sometime next month, which would bring irreparable damage to our economy and to the global markets. Today's vote also throws a wrench in the plans, the push to get Biden's massive economic agenda through the House. $3.5 trillion worth of spending, a $1 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill that Biden claims won't drive us deeper into debt. How he got that number, I don't know. But for more, we bring in former advisors to President Clinton and President Trump, our very own Newsmax Dick Morris. Dick, glad to have you here, my friend. So, we're looking at close to $3.5 trillion in what they call human infrastructure.
Right.
Very little infrastructure to be found.
Right.
How do we get people to understand, number one, the dangers of default, but that you cannot pair this ridiculous spending with an insistence that we keep actually raising this debt ceiling year after year, generation after generation?
First of all, the debt ceiling is going to be raised. We're not going to default.
Right.
That's all baloney.
Right.
The game here is that the Republicans are committed to vote against the debt increase, and the Democrats don't want to pass it on their lonesome.
Right.
They want to hold hands and walk the plank together and jump into the ocean and duck the crocodile because they want the blame to be bipartisan and shared.
Right.
And the Republicans are saying, you spent the money, you borrowed the money, you figure out how to repay it, we're not touching it.
Right.
And they're very united about that. But I think that Biden is making a very fundamental mistake in the way he's proposing this bill. You yourself said it. Is $3.5 trillion bill. And he can only refer to it in those terms. Now, if he said a climate change bill that costs $3.5 trillion, okay. If he said a college scholarship program that costs $3.5 trillion, all right. Elderly home care, that stuff. But it's a little bit like a furniture salesman who says, I would like to show you a really expensive couch. It's going to cost $5,000 for the couch. And that's way above the price of most couches.
Right.
And then he gets to the fact that it's beautiful, it's linen and all of that.
Right.
But right after he shocked you with the price.
Right.
And that's what Biden's doing. He's coming and saying, I have this $3.5 trillion thing.
Right.
And oh my God, $3.5 trillion, you're still in sticker shock when you understand what's in it.
Well, let me play devil's advocate here. Is it possible that the sticker shock is part of the plan? That trillion has become the new billion, that we're dealing with the systemic desensitization of the American people to astronomical sums of money, to the point where even people here interviewed by Newsmax can't comprehend how many thousands of billions are in the 1 trillion, let alone the 3.
There was a joke during the Obama years. They said, what comes after trillion? Don't tell Obama.
Goodness.
But look, I think that the point is that Democrats think that when they say $3.5 trillion, it's going to help them.
Right.
Because the base says, wow, that's a lot of money. It shows how serious he is. It shows how committed he is on climate change and college and all this other stuff, because he's not putting a minor thing out there. He's doing something really important.
Right.
But the fact is it backfires massively, because the only thing voters take away from it is $3.5 trillion, the $5,000 for the couch.
Absolutely.
And they don't look at any of the things that it's for. And as a result, the more Biden pushes this, the worse he gets.
Right.
And that's why his numbers are tanking. And if he passes this bill, it's his death sentence when he's signing it.
Absolutely.
Because the only thing voters are going to remember is $3.5 trillion and inflation. Nothing else will go away.
It sounds like the type of thing that you could only do if you knew you were a one-term president who was there to be a caretaker and push through everything that the left wanted you to do.
It's the only thing you can do if you were demented, senile, and completely out of it.
Oh, man. Former advisor to President Clinton and Trump, Dick Morris. Always good to see you, Dick. Thank you so much for joining us.
You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news channel, now in more than 70 million homes. You can get Newsmax TV on your cable system or check your cable guide. And if your system doesn't carry Newsmax, call them. Tell them you want Newsmax TV, because we're real news for real people.